Hello, everybody, and welcome to Budgeting 101, part of the Wellbeing Workshop series. My name is Tom Pease, and I'm the Head of International and Money Advice here at Royal Holloway. We'll be looking at the importance of creating a budget, and in doing so, we will be looking at these 6 points. So firstly, why create a budget in the first place? Then we'll be looking at who budgeting is for. We'll talk a bit about setting your financial goals and aims. We'll then discuss understanding your income and expenses, and then finally give you some tips on how to budget. So firstly, why budget? Well, let's start with the negatives, if you will. Without a budget, you'll be more concerned about your money. So there's a clear link between your finances and your mental health and well-being. Without a budget, it can be very difficult to manage your money and therefore difficult to manage your mental health and well-being as well. Without a budget, you'll be less likely to keep up with your essential costs. And we'll look at a little bit more detail about what those kind of costs are in a minute. You'll probably be unsure about how much money you have or what things you can and can't afford. And without a budget, you're more likely to make poor financial decisions. With a budget, by contrast, you'll be able to master your finances and feel much more confident about your money. And so those associated mental health and well-being concerns that we mentioned without a budget, they should be much easier to manage as well. You're far more likely to be in an excellent position to cover your essential costs on a monthly, weekly, and annual basis. And you'll actually be able to enjoy life's luxuries, so you'll know how much money you've got to spend on things outside of those essential costs. And what we hope is that by having a budget, you'll be able to effectively plan for now and for the future. Ultimately, what a budget is a tool. So very much like a map, it can help to guide you in the right place, but you're the one who's going to have to walk down the relevant paths. So there's no particular magic towards a budget. It's really just about making informed and accurate decisions on what to do with your money. So who is budgeting for? Well, the simple answer is it's for everyone. So we appreciate that all of our students at Royal Holloway will have different financial circumstances, but if you have any income or any expenditure, which I'm confident in saying will cover absolutely every student, then you should make a budget, and it will certainly be a powerful and effective financial tool for helping you manage your finances now and hopefully in the future as well. For many of you, it might be the first time that you've tried to put a budget together. For some of you may have tried a budget before, but struggled to make it really work. We'd really strongly suggest that you go back to trying to form a budget, and therefore we hope that this workshop will be very helpful, whatever your circumstances. Finally, it won't take you too long. So we appreciate as well that you're all busy with studies, perhaps doing work on the side, and obviously enjoying your time as a student at Royal Holloway. There will be a little bit of a time investment in terms of creating a budget, albeit that we'll show you lots of ways that you can do it really effectively and efficiently. But what we'd also say is it will help you save time in the future, and it'll help you save a lot of perhaps concern and worry about not having it in place as well. Of course, as with so many elements of life, the first thing to do before you actually start trying to crunch the numbers within your budget is to set yourself a goal. Now, you might have many different types of reasons for needing to budget. There won't be a single answer that covers everyone, but some of the key ones might well be, of course, being able to cover your basic expenses and bills. Perhaps you want to spend more time going out and socializing with friends. Perhaps you're hoping to buy something that's more expensive, so a larger purchase at some point in the future. Whatever it is, once you've set yourself a goal and a target to aim at, that's going to help when it actually comes to looking at your income and expenses and forming your budget, you'll know where you're trying to get to. For all students, the top priority when creating a budget, however, is to ensure that they can cover their essential living costs. Now, those costs will differ from individual to individual, but for the most part, they will include any utility bills that you have. So that will be gas, electricity, and water. Your grocery costs, your rent or accommodation costs, your travel and transportation costs, and any course-related costs, including potentially tuition fees. Now, if after you've created a budget, you feel that you cannot meet those costs, then I would suggest you stop attempting to budget at that point and reach out for support. The team that you can contact at the university is the Money Advice team. We are located in room 140, Founders East. Our email address is moneymatters@rhul.ac.uk. And we can take you through a full range of support that we offer to help you understand how to maximise your income as a student and cut down on expenditure, as well as considering direct financial support that is available to all university students whilst they're studying at Royal Holloway. As well as ensuring that you can cover your essential living costs, we also suggest that you start saving towards what we call an emergency fund. These, otherwise known as rainy day funds, can help guard against unexpected changes in your income and expenditure. Ideally, an emergency fund should be able to cover at least 3 months' worth of your expenses. Now, we appreciate that for many students, having several £1,000s saved away can seem quite challenging, but this can help to form one of your goals or financial aims, even if it is a long-term aim. Whilst you're working towards that, and whilst you're studying at Royal Holloway, should you have a change in your financial circumstances that impacts your ability to meet your essential living costs, then again, please do seek support from the Money Advice team in room 140, Founders East, or email us at moneymatters@rhul.ac.uk. To calculate how much money you've got to spend, firstly, you need to understand how much money you've got coming in. To be able to calculate your income and to budget effectively, you'll need to know your sources of income, where you get your money from, how much you earn from each of those sources, and how often you're likely to receive it. It's important that you gather documentation that can support these figures as you begin putting them into your budget. For example, wage slips or notification letters. There are many sources of income that students choose to rely on while they're studying. These are a few of the most common ones. Many students' primary source of income will be their student loan. Usually, we would not include loans within budgeting, but as the UK's student loan system does not require you to pay back that amount whilst you're studying, then for the purposes of creating a student budget, you should include it. You may also be eligible for various scholarships and bursaries, both from Royal Holloway or potentially from external third parties. If you have any form of employment, whether that's temporary or part-time, full-time during the summer, or whether you're freelancing or taking advantage of the gig economy, then you should include these within your income. Some students may be relying on family contributions to help cover their living and study costs. You may have savings available to you that you're using to help cover your living costs. In certain circumstances, students with financial dependence or with certain disabilities may be able to access additional government funds. Some students may also be able to utilise the power of passive income. That is usually income that is being derived from an investment that you've made. Remember, Your budget will only be as effective as the figures that you use within it. So don't overestimate income that you've not yet secured. For example, wages from a job that you're searching for. It's important that students make sure they've taken every opportunity to maximize their income. Whether that's talking about whether you're eligible for more student loan, making a referral to our careers team to help you find part-time work, or understand whether you might be eligible for state benefits, the money advice team can make sure that you've got as much money available to you as possible during your time at Royal Holloway. Once you've accumulated evidence of all of your income, you'll need to start to do the same for your expenses. To budget effectively, you'll need to capture every single one of your expenses. Understand whether they are fixed or variable expenses, and we will talk a little bit more about what that means in a minute. Decide if they are an essential expense, as we've just covered, or whether they're a desirable. As with income, there are many different expenses that students may have to bear during their time studying. Some of the common ones include groceries, travel and transport, utility bills, rent and accommodation costs, what's broadly categorized as entertainment, course-related costs, any holidays or international travel that you may need to undertake, any medical costs or prescription charges you may need to bear, taking into account any financial dependencies you've had, and anything else that you can find. Once again, your budget will only be effective if it contains accurate information and data about all of your expenses. It's never been easier to collect this information. Vast majority of online and high street banks via their banking apps will offer a means for you to track and categorize your expenses over specific time periods. There are also a number of fintech options out there, such as Plum and Snoop, which will allow you to track your income and expenses over multiple accounts. When setting up with any of these services or similar services, please do make sure that they are legitimate and that you're happy with the amount of personal information that you will need to share for them to be effective. Once you've categorized your expenses and understand exactly how much you're spending on a monthly basis on each of those, you'll need to organize them into 3 categories. The first category is variable expenses. These are costs that can change over time. For example, the price you pay for groceries. You can average these out across a longer period of time to input that into your budget. Be careful. An average cost might leave you with a cash flow problem, particularly where that cost is a larger cost, which you've tried to average out across the duration of your budget. A cash flow problem means you might not have enough money to meet that cost when it arises midway through your budget. If you find yourself in a cash flow problem, please contact the money advice team for further support. The second type of expense is a fixed expense. These are costs that usually stay the same and, for the most part, are due to be paid at the same time each period. For example, your rent. Best way to manage these costs is to set up direct debits from your bank account to pay them at the same time each month. It might be possible for you to include what might be considered variable costs as fixed costs. For example, utility bills, which you can pay at a fixed price throughout the year, despite the fact that your energy usage is likely to vary from summer to winter. Where possible, you should try and manage costs as though they were fixed costs, as it makes budgeting considerably easier. Finally, you'll need to consider any non-essential costs. Setting up a budget is a great time for you to consider whether you need to pay for various services It's also a great opportunity for you to see how small expenses can quickly add up over a longer period of time. Looking through your bank statements can also be a real opportunity to cancel any unused subscriptions you might have built up over the years. Budgeting as a student can be doubly difficult because very often your income and expenditure are not fixed, and you may have times of the year when you're having more money come in and times of the year when you're having more money go out. Therefore, we recommend that you set up a second bank account to help you budget effectively. For example, if you're receiving the UK government loan, you could use your first bank account to have the loan paid into. This bank account could be a savings account like a cash ISA, which will allow you to accrue interest at around 4 to 5% on your loan while it sits in that account. On a monthly basis, you could then move between a quarter and a third of your loan into a second bank account that you have. That bank account can have direct debits created to cover your fixed expenses every month, leaving you with the remaining balance to cover variable expenses and non-essential expenses. Budgeting in this way can help you overcome the significant differences that students experience in their monthly income and expenditure. You're now ready to start creating your budget. Whilst it's not a time-intensive process, make sure that you have left yourself between 30 to 40 minutes to start calculating all of your income and expenses and putting it into a budget. You'll then need to consider setting aside 15 to 20 minutes, ideally on a monthly basis, to review your budget and ensure that it's working as planned. Remember to utilise FinTech to increase the accuracy of your budget and reduce the time it takes. We've already given you a couple of examples of legitimate organisations and apps that you can use. We'll give you a couple more as well. But realistically, if you prefer to use an Excel spreadsheet or a pen and a piece of paper, then that's fine too. So long as you are including all of your income and expenditure, then any tool that you can use at your disposal to budget is a good one. Decide on the time period for your budget and calculate your income expenditure over that period. For most students, that will be either an academic year or a full calendar year, and you're likely to want to budget for each month within that year. Once you've created your budget, you'll be left with 3 outcomes. Hopefully, what you will have is a surplus, which is where your income outweighs your expenses. If you have a surplus, you should be happy with your budget. You may come out with what we call a balanced budget. That's where your income and expenses are roughly equal. This is an okay scenario, albeit that you don't have a lot of flexibility within your budget. Should your circumstances change, or should you have miscalculated either your income or expenditure, then you may be left with the final scenario later on. The final scenario is a deficit. That's where your expenses are greater than your income for any period of time that you are budgeting. If after you've calculated your budget, you come out with either a deficit or a balanced budget, again, we would recommend that you make contact with the money advice team so that we can support you. In terms of where to get help, please do reach out to us in the money advice team. You can come and visit us in Founders East, room 140, at any time, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you prefer to book an appointment, then you can scan the QR code there, and we give appointments either online or in person. The UK government's Money Helper service offers free, impartial advice and a really useful online budgeting tool. There you can input all of your income and expenditure, and it will give you an outcome for your budget. Finally, the Black Bullion app is a financial capabilities tool designed specifically for students and is free to download via the App Store or Google Play. We hope this wellbeing workshop has been useful. If you do have any questions, please reach out to us. Thank you very much.